Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be painting up the Trench Cleric or Priest from the new Antioch Trench Crusade faction. And I'm going to be showing you how to paint up a quick and easy Grimdark battle damaged red armour, only using contrast paints and washes. But before getting to the contrast paints, I firstly need to prep the model and apply a suitable base for all of the contrast paints. And I'm going to show you a simple 3-step process to create the very best base for all of your speed and contrast paints. And the first part of that process is to apply a zenithal highlight to the entire model. And it's completely optional here whether you use an airbrush or a dry brush. For this model I'm going to use the airbrush and apply a white ink on top of the already blacked primed model. And I'm just going to be spraying this from directly above and then from 45 degrees, going around the whole model, which should create a basic zenithal highlight while keeping all of the shaded areas still in the black. And as I mentioned, you can just use a dry brush here, so don't worry if you don't have an airbrush. And technically you could stop here, but I'm going to push the contrast a little bit further by firstly going in with some Army Painter dark tone, but any other black shade would also do, something like Nuln Oil. And again, I'm just going to apply this all over the model, which is going to turn the white somewhat a darker grey, but it's also going to shade in all of the recesses and cracks, which helps to increase the contrast and also do a little bit of black lining as well. And then once that's dry, I'm just going to come in with some Army Painter Company Grey, this time with a dry brush, and just very lightly dry brush over all of the raised edges and upward facing surfaces, which is going to help pick out and re-highlight all of the edges and bring back that bright white colour on all of the upward facing surfaces. And this gives a really nice contrast paint base that has all of the recesses and shadows shaded nicely and highlighted up to a nice bright white on all of the upward facing surfaces. And before getting into the contrast paints, I'm going to quickly black out all of the metallic areas across the model. And I just do this now as it provides a base for all of the metallics that I'm going to be using later on in the process. And it also helps to map out where the metallics are going to go, leaving the rest of the model which will be covered with speed paints. I'm now going to come in with the contrast paints, firstly tackling the armour using some Vallejo Express Intense Seraph Red, and if you've never tried this colour before, I do highly recommend it. As the name suggests, it is a very intense red, which is achieved with only one coat. And I'm going to apply this to all of the armour panels across the model. And to paint in the rest of the smaller details on the model, I used Vallejo Express Willow Bark to paint in the cross on the back, but any dark brown contrast paint would likely do here. And then I used the lighter Vallejo Express Battle Dress Brown to paint in all of the leather areas, like the pouches around the waist and the holster for the gun as well. And then I'm just going to come in with some Vallejo Express Mummy White and use this to paint in the pages in the open book and also all of the scrolls that are hanging from the bottom of the armour. And for the skin on the face of the model, I decided to use 3 of the colours from the Army Painter Rose Skin Tone Triad. And I went for Moonstone Skin, Barbarian Flesh and Ruby Skin. Firstly base coating the area in the darkest colour, which was the Moonstone Skin. And then just coming in with the brighter colours, covering a much smaller area each time. Working my way up to the brightest colour, which is the ruby skin. And only really applying this to the very upper parts of the cheeks. And once that was dry, I went in with some Army Painter Warm Skin Shade and gave all of the skin a quick coat of this, and then used some Army Painter Dark Tone to do the exact same thing to the beard. And both of these washes should just help to add a little bit of shade and contrast to these areas. And I then come in with some Vallejo Express Bag of Bones, which is a very light neutral colour, and just use this to quickly paint in all of the ropes that are wrapped around the model. Next, I decided to apply all of the iconography in the way of some transfers by firstly applying gloss varnish to all of the areas that I'm going to be applying the transfers to, and then using my usual combination of microsol and microset to apply the transfers to all of the areas. And that would include the large shoulder pad and also the pages of the book and every single one of the scrolls that are hanging from the armour as well. And for the metallics, I use some Army Painter Heavy Metal and Emperor Gold, which are both really dark metallic colours and are from the John Blanche Army Painter set. And I use the gold for all of the crosses and the trim on the book. And I use the heavy metal for all of the chainmail and the blade of the sword on the back and also the gun as well. I then come in with an old brush that's lost its tip and apply a very light dry brush using the Army Painter Heavy Metal. And I use this to try and catch all of the raised edges of the armour panels, as well as apply a few scratches across the armour as well, especially in areas that I applied the transfer. And by doing this, it should give a really nice battle damaged look to the red armour. along with helping to blend in the transfer as well. And to further blend in the rest of the transfers, I use some Liquitex Raw Transparent Umber, which is a really great transparent ink, which can be used to take away that shiny white new look that all of the transfers have, without affecting the colour of all of the underlying layers too much. And it really helps to blend the transfers into the rest of the area, along with giving it all a extra dirty look as well. And with these inks being acrylic, you don't have a huge amount of working time, but if you're quick enough you can apply this and then come in with a dry brush and use it to stipple it out and feather it into the rest of the model. But you only have around 10 to 20 seconds before the drying process starts. And after applying the transparent umber, the transfers were starting to look more part of the model. And to further help this and also add a little bit more of a Grimdark touch, I'm going to be applying an all-over coat of some Villainy Inks Decrepit Filth, which is currently my favourite Grimdark enamel wash. But before applying this, I gave the entire model a coat of some gloss varnish, which helps to protect the models from the harsh enamels and the upcoming removal process. And I'm just going to apply this all over the model, allowing it to flow into all of the recesses. And then allow it to dry for 20 to 30 minutes. And then come in with some makeup sponges and mop up all of the excess enamel wash, which should keep some of the wash in all of the recesses, and removing it from all of the upward facing surfaces, which would be naturally more highlighted. And if you don't have any enamel washes or aren't confident using them, you can always just use something like Agrax Earthshade. It's not going to be exactly the same, but it will help to provide additional shade to the model. And after allowing that to dry overnight, I then applied a coat of matte varnish to the entire model to knock back the shine created from all of the washes. And the final part of the process was to come in with the same Army Painter heavy metal, which I used to apply all of the silver metallics, and use this to give a quick edge highlight to all of the armour panels and metallic areas. And this is just going to help to bring back the shine to the metallic areas, which would have been muted significantly by the matte varnish. And after that was done, the model was complete and ready to be based. And I think for the base I'm going to go for a bit of a cold blue tint to try and offset and contrast the warm red armour. And as always, a big thank you to all of my Patreon and YouTube members. As a paid member, you'll get access to the full uncut painting process, which I'll be uploading later on this week. So if you're interested in the full painting process, I'll leave a link in the description down below, and I'll see you in the next one.